what is the point in documenting reservations? If somebody needs 100 pounds of coffee, I want to reserve it here. What is the point in creating these reservations? Why are we doing these reservations? The reason why we are doing a reservation manually is to document that there is a requirement. Okay. So there is a requirement for Jan 31st, and that was created on Jan 1st. Now, why are we documenting that reservation? How is it going to help anybody? Now, to get 100 pounds of coffee, in this case, we have just done a goods issue for two materials. Coffee beans 01, coffee beans 02. Well, we could do a goods issue because we had goods in stock. If you don't have goods, how are you going to plan how much you need? So the primary purpose of reservation is to document the requirements so that somebody who is responsible for planning that material can procure or manufacture that amount of goods. This is the sole and whole reason why you create a reservation. A reservation is created because you want to tell the person who is planning that particular material to either procure it or produce it. It's his problem, his headache. You don't care. All you're saying is, I need 100 pounds of coffee by this date. So how does this person that I'm talking about, who is responsible for planning that material, know that you have created a reservation? Let's go create a reservation. Say for coffee beans, and I'm going to give a weird number. Let's say 113. The reason why I'm doing a weird number is because I want you to see that number when I show you the reservation list. Go save it, and 66918, that's the reservation number. Now the person responsible for planning the coffee beans 01 will go to MD04, puts the material in there, coffee beans, and hit enter. Now in the later set of chapters, when we go to MRP, you'll understand what I mean by requirements, how to work on requirements. So for now, think of this as a list of requirements. How we act on it is not something that we're going to worry about. This is the list of requirements. There you go. You got so many of them here, right? And this column over here tells you what kind of requirement it is. Is it a requirement from a purchase order? Is it a requirement from a purchase requisition? Is it a requirement from a sales order? Is it a requirement from a production order? So on and so forth. Let's see, scroll all the way down, and you see that there is a reservation that we have just created. 11/1/2016, October 1st, 2016, and 66918, and you see the quantity is for 113. Right? You can just go double click this and view that reservation. So this is the reservation number. Click on the glasses, and this is your reservation. You can go to material, what line item, blah blah blah. Click on that and you'll see the line items in that reservation. Okay, what movement type is used? Has it been deleted? What is the quantity? What is the unit of measure? So on and so forth. So like I said, requirements like these keep getting accumulated in the stock requirement list transaction. It's just a list that you can pull using the transaction MD04. MD04 not just lists the reservations, it lists all the requirements. It lists requirements coming from sales orders. It lists requirements coming from production orders. It lists requirements coming from projects, so on and so forth. Reservations happen to be just one of them. And like I said, requirements for sales orders, production orders, projects are typically created automatically. So that reservation is created automatically. So these are examples of automatic requirements. And you cannot change automatic requirements. You cannot go to MD04 or you cannot go to MB22 and change. So this is MB21. This is how you create a manual reservation. Anything that you create here in MB21, of course, can be changed in MB22 because it's a reservation that was created manually. So these automatic reservations that come in the form of requirements from these upstream orders cannot be changed. So these cannot be changed. When I mean these cannot be changed in MB22, meaning a customer has asked for 100 pounds of coffee in a sales order. It has created a requirement in MD04. Now you cannot go to MD04, select that line item, pick up that requirement, go to MB22 and change the requirement. That's not possible. Any requirement that's triggered from a source document, like a sales order or a production order, can only be changed in the source document. Meaning, if the customer asks for 100 pounds of coffee, you can go to the sales order and change the requirement to 50, 150, whatever you want. And you can automatically see that change in MD04. Again, the key takeaway from this screen is any reservation that's created manually can be changed, but any reservation that's created automatically using source documents like sales order, production order, or projects cannot be changed in MD04. And what is MD04? MD04 is a stock requirement list where all the requirements for stock of a particular material in a particular plant is displayed by SAP, and actions can be taken based off of that. And we are going to talk more about MD04 and stock requirement lists when we come to MRP. But until that point, just understand that all the requirements and reservations come sit in MD04 for the planner to take actions. Now, assuming you have enough stock, if a reservation has been made, you have to go deliver them, right? Somebody in the warehouse would have to issue the goods against that reservation. I need 100 pounds of coffee by the 30th of January. And when the 30th of January comes, somebody in the warehouse would have to issue that 100 pounds of coffee. This can be done manually, of course, just by putting in the reservation like we have just done, do a goods issue against reservation in MyGo, and goods can be issued. Now, if there are many such requirements, the person sitting in the warehouse would not know that there is a reservation against which he has to issue the goods. So, in order to systematically assist the warehouse manager to understand what are all the issues that he has to do against reservations, there is something called as a pick list. Pick list. What is a pick list? A pick list is a list of all the materials and quantities that has to be picked for issues. For example, on Jan 1st, you have created a reservation for 100 pounds of coffee beans O1, let's say, to be delivered on Jan 2nd, let's say tomorrow. And on Jan 1st, again, there is another reservation somebody else has created for coffee beans O2 to be delivered on Jan 2nd. And on Jan 1st again, there is 100 pounds of coffee beans O1, let's say, to be required on Jan 3rd. There are so many line items like that, right? So many people require so many things. All of them are recorded as reservations. Now, on Jan 2nd, the person in the warehouse would not have a clue what are all the issues that he has to do. Now, you might be wondering, why does he need to know? The reason why he needs to know is he has to plan for those issues. Now, if it's a small warehouse like a coffee shop, that's not a big deal. It's easy. Oh, I need 100 pounds of coffee. Oh, okay, go pick that bag. Now, like I said, if I have 10 coffee shops in Chicago and all of them are serviced by one plant, in that case, the warehouse is really big. You got like 50,000 pounds of coffee, different types of coffee. Where is coffee beans O1? Let's say dark roast Arabica. It's somewhere on that corner in the third aisle, fourth row, fifth bin, right? In which case, it's not easy to just issue goods. It takes time. So on Jan 2nd, when the warehouse manager comes into the warehouse, it would be nice if he gets a list that tells him that on January 2nd, I need coffee beans O1, 100 pounds, coffee beans O2, 200 pounds. Oh, this is not on Jan 2nd. this list will come on third. So on and so forth. Anything that's due for issue on the second. The materials and quantities. That's called a pick list. So based off of that pick list, he goes, picks all the goods and then puts it in a staging area. And from that point on, all the issues will be issued when the person who requires the goods comes in. One particular employee needs 100 pounds of coffee on the Jan 2nd. So he comes in Jan 2nd, say 12 o'clock in the noon, and his delivery is ready. Somebody else comes in at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, his delivery is ready. The baker comes in for an ad hoc request for 10 pounds of coffee, his delivery is ready. That can only be done if the warehouse manager has a pick list. It's basically a way to plan all the issues. And a pick list is MB26. You can do it based off of reservation, you can do it based off of material, you can do it based off of an order, asset, plant, sales order, based off of any of these selection criteria. And if you hit execute, it should show you a list from which you can do picking really easily. I'll show you how. For example, in this case, I have to pick 100 pounds or 113 pounds of coffee today, right? Which storage location? Let's say coffee storage location. So you enter the storage location. And save. So goods movement is posted, meaning from a pick list, you would not even have to go to MyGo. Your goods movement is already posted. If you want to go check that, go to the reservation. Remember, this is for 113 quantity, right? You see this flag is checked on. What does that tell you? That tells you that the final issue is done, right? So from the pick list, without having to go to MyGo, you can do the goods issue. All you have to do is put the storage location from which you are picking the goods and click save. Now, this pick list can also be printed so that you can have a little printout of all the materials that you need to pick. Send somebody to go pick all the materials from the racks, put it in an area where you can really do something like pack it or keep it ready, stack it, that kind of thing. Now there are a couple of elements of configuration in SPRO for reservations. Let's go look at that. SPRO. IMG. Go to material management. Inventory management. Reservations. And default values. Go select your plant, in this case it's Chicago. Click on position, type in Chicago. And you see for Chicago, by default, movement is always allowed, right? So like I said, if you want to not allow movements beyond a certain date, check this off. But by default, it's always checked on. And this is days until which the movement can be started. Meaning, in cases like this, where the delivery needs to be done 30 days from now, if the movement is checked off, it's not until 10 days, meaning on, let's say, 20th of January, is when you can start doing the goods movement. So it's the number of days within which, if there is a delivery, movement automatically is enabled. Now that's a setting that's not required all the time, but if you want to do it, you can go set it. The second thing is retention. Say, for example, I have reserved 100 pounds of coffee on Jan 1st and I require it for Jan 2nd. But I totally forgot about it. Right? So the warehouse manager tomorrow on Jan 2nd went and kept my 100 pounds of coffee ready. I did not turn up. I forgot. I went on with my business. And Jan 30th came, Jan 31st came, and February 1st came. Maybe the warehouse manager has kept that coffee somewhere in a corner, thinking that I'll come. But 30 days has passed, and I did not come to pick up my coffee. In which case, what the warehouse manager has to do is put that coffee back into the lot. And what happens to that reservation? That reservation will be cancelled. The number of days beyond which reservations can be automatically cancelled is this retention period. So beyond 30 days, reservations will automatically stand cancelled. Now, who can do this automatic cancellation? Do you have to go manually do it? No. There is a reservation management program. Let me show that program to you. Go to logistics, again, material management, inventory management, reservation, and MBVR, administer. So this administers or manages reservation. This is a program that can be run either in the background or manually. So what this does is it manages these reservations based on the dates. For example, if there are reservations that need to be deleted, it can go delete those reservations. If there are reservations for which goods movements need to be enabled because it has come within 10 days or 5 days of that time, it can enable that. So these are the two functions that can be performed, and that is done using these two indicators: delete set deletion indicator and set goods movements to allowed. So anytime you run this, if you don't see the results, and that's because it's a test run, you have to go disable this and run using the execute button. Okay, let's put this on and execute. So these are all the activities that SAP is going to do. You don't have to do anything. You just have to click save. That's it. Now, if you click save and go back, nothing will happen because it's a test run. If you delete the test run, okay, and hit execute, these are all the reservations. See, they are way back from 2003. 2002, they'll all be removed. They'll all be deleted, right? So changes have been made. Now that was not something that you have seen previously because it was run in test mode. Now you have removed the test mode and all these reservations are deleted. Now if you go back and execute this again, you'll not get them. The list is gone. They're all deleted because they're pretty old. Now, if you want to really test it, you can go create a reservation, right? This reservation is for today. Let's say coffee beans 01, quantity 114. Again, a weird number just to show that, this is really the reservation that we are working on. Save it. 66919 is created. Now, if you go to administer and run this for today, you'll not get anything. But if you run this for something that is 30 days from now, which is a simulation, right? So if you run this for, say, 12 December, not 01, let's say 05, because that's clearly 30 days beyond today's date. You'll see that 6918, right? Now that's a simulation. You don't have to really do it, but if you run this management program so far into the future, it's going to be deleted. That's what it says. Now it's a test run, nothing's going to be deleted. But if you run it so far into the future, really, that reservation will be deleted. So this is basically a program that's used to purge reservations that are not really necessary. 30 days old reservations are purged. And if the goods movement indicator is not set, they can be set automatically. And as usual, you can use a variety of criteria like cost center, order, asset, network, sales order to pick specific reservations that you want to manage. If you don't want to manage all the reservations at one go, you can just specifically choose all the reservations made against the HR cost center or the admin cost center or a particular project. That's called managing reservations.